Atlanta hasn't slept since last night. Phones are buzzing, blogs are crashing, and everyone's talking about one thing, the voice note. The one Kirk Frost never meant for Jasmine Washington to hear. It was short, shaky, and sent in the middle of the night, but the words inside that message have shaken the Frost family to its core. At first, people thought it was a prank, maybe a deepfake, maybe some old recording resurfaced for attention. But then Jasmine went live, tears in her eyes, holding her phone up with Kirk's name flashing on the screen. And that was all it took. The internet exploded. Fans started digging, bloggers started speculating, and within an hour, every gossip page from Atlanta to New York was screaming the same headline. Rasheeda heard everything. It started like a normal night. Rasheeda was home after closing Frost Bistro, sitting on the couch, scrolling through Kirk's messages while he slept beside her. Nothing unusual, nothing suspicious until she saw it. A small gray bubble at the top of the chat with Jasmine's name, an audio icon just 6 seconds long. She tapped it without thinking, and the voice that played wasn't just Kirk's. It was Kirk sounding nervous, whispering like he was hiding something. "I can't do this no more. Jasmine, I'm tired of pretending." That was all. 6 seconds, 6 words that changed everything. Rasheeda froze. The phone almost slipped from her hand. She played it again and again, trying to catch every breath, every pause, every trace of guilt. The more she listened, the heavier her chest felt. What was Kirk pretending about? Why was he saying her name like that? What did Jasmine know that she didn't? By sunrise, Rasheeda wasn't the only one. It had screen-recorded Jasmine's live before she deleted it. And the clip spread faster than wildfire. Twitter Spaces turned into live debates. Fans were dissecting the tone of Kirk's voice, comparing it to old interviews, matching it with his past confessions. One blogger claimed they ran the clip through AI to confirm it was Kirk. Another said Jasmine leaked it herself to expose him. Everyone had an opinion, but no one had the truth. And in the middle of it all, Rasheeda was sitting in silence, scrolling through comments that said things like she should have left him years ago, and once a cheater, always a cheater. Inside the Frost house, the air was thick. Kirk tried to play it cool, acting like he didn't know what the world was saying. But when Rasheeda looked at him that morning, her eyes weren't angry, they were empty. She had heard that voice note more than 50 times, and every replay broke something inside her. She didn't yell, she didn't cry, she just asked one question so quiet that Kirk almost missed it. "How long you've been pretending, Kirk?" The words hung in the air like smoke. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. He reached for her hand, but she pulled away. "Don't," she said, standing up slowly. "Don't touch me right now." Her voice cracked, and that was when Kirk knew. This wasn't just another argument. This was different. Meanwhile, Jasmine was spiraling. Her DMs were full. Her phone wouldn't stop ringing, and everyone wanted to know why she had Kirk's voice note saved. She posted a cryptic story that only made things worse. The truth always slips out one way or another. Within minutes, fans turned it into memes, edits, and theory threads. Some said Kirk was leaving Rasheeda for Jasmine again. Others claimed the voice note was part of a bigger cover-up, maybe about the baby, maybe about money. No one knew for sure, but everyone had something to say. Jasmine tried to stay calm, but when she saw Rasheeda's name trending next to hers, guilt hit her like a wave. She didn't plan for any of this. Or maybe deep down she did. By noon, TMZ Atlanta showed up outside Frost Bistro. Reporters were shouting questions. Customers were recording, and employees looked terrified. Someone from the staff leaked that Rasheeda didn't come to work that day. Kirk showed up alone, tried to smile for the cameras, but his face told the story. The weight of that one voice note was written all over him. His manager pulled him aside, whispering, "Bro, you need to fix this fast. It's getting ugly." But how do you fix something that the whole world already heard? Kirk knew he couldn't delete it. He couldn't spin it. The only thing left was to face it and face Rasheeda. And that's exactly where everything began to unravel. Because what nobody knew yet, not Jasmine, not the fans, not even Kirk, was that Rasheeda had already sent that voice note to someone else before confronting him. Someone close. Someone who had their own reason to expose the Frost family secrets. That 6-second message wasn't just an accident anymore. It was evidence. And in the next 24 hours, Atlanta was about to learn the truth that would destroy everything Kirk and Rasheeda built together. But before the world could get there, one more message appeared on Jasmine's story. No caption, no sound, just a black screen with a single word written in white. Again, Rasheeda didn't sleep that night. She sat in the living room staring at Kirk's phone, the same one that started it all. Every few minutes, she replayed the voice note, hoping she'd somehow misheard it, hoping maybe it wasn't what it sounded like. But every replay sounded clearer. Kirk's voice cracked in the same spot. His breath hitched the same way. I can't do this no more. Jasmine, I'm tired of pretending. There was no misunderstanding that. It was personal. It was raw. And it wasn't meant for anyone else's ears. Her mind kept racing. Pretending about what? The marriage, the loyalty, the public image they'd built after years of cheating scandals and reconciliations. The house was silent except for the sound of the fridge humming in the background. Kirk was asleep upstairs, unaware that his world was about to collapse again. Rasheeda opened her messages and saw the thread with Kendra. She hesitated for a long time before typing, "Girl, I need you to hear something." She attached the voice note and hit send. Within seconds, the typing bubbles appeared. Then, a call. Rasheeda answered, her voice low, trembling. "You heard it?" she asked. There was a pause. Then Kendra whispered, "Oh my God, Rasheeda, that's Kirk. That's definitely Kirk." Rasheeda didn't respond. She didn't need to. She knew it, too. Across town, Jasmine was pacing her apartment. Her phone hadn't stopped vibrating since the story went up. Bloggers were tagging her. Fans were spamming her live. And her cousin kept calling to say people were camping outside her building. She thought about deleting everything, going offline. But then she remembered she was. Meanwhile, Kirk was in damage control mode. He called his manager, his publicist, even Mona Scott herself, trying to figure out how to stop the storm. "We can spin this," his manager said. "Say it's old. Say it's edited." But Kirk knew that wouldn't work. Jasmine had the full message and she was sitting on it like a bomb, ready to drop. He texted her over and over. "Please don't post it. Please call me. We can talk." She didn't reply. Instead, she posted a story, a screenshot of her messages with Kirk blurred out. The caption reading, "When they beg you in private, but lie in public." That was all it took. Atlanta blogs exploded again. #S like #VoiceGate, #TDA, and #FrostFiles started trending. Hours later, Jasmine finally broke her silence in a live stream. Her face was calm but serious, makeup minimal, hair tied up like she didn't care anymore. "I'm not here to hurt nobody," she said, "but y'all keep saying I'm lying, so here's the truth." She pulled out her phone, hit play, and suddenly the live was filled with Kirk's voice again, this time longer. He was clearly upset, talking fast. "I'm tired of acting like everything perfect. I'm tired of smiling when I'm breaking inside. Jasmine, you know what we had? It ain't just some mistake." The chat went insane. Thousands of comments flooded the screen. Some said, "This man just confessed." Others wrote, "Poor Rasheeda." People clipped it, reposted it, and within minutes, the full audio was all over YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter. It wasn't 6 seconds anymore. It was 45 seconds of pure chaos. Rasheeda saw it, too. She was sitting in her car outside Frost Bistro watching the live through tears. Her phone started buzzing nonstop again. Kendra, Carly, Yandy, all calling to see if she was okay. She didn't answer. She just sat there frozen, listening to her husband's voice, saying those words. "It ain't just some mistake." Her fingers gripped the steering wheel. The same man who told her he'd never embarrass her again had just publicly destroyed her all over again. She screamed, a raw guttural sound that came from somewhere deep. Then silence. Back at the Frost house, Kirk threw his phone across the room. "Why would she do this?" he yelled. "Why now?" His manager was pacing behind him. "Bro, she's chasing attention. She knows what she's doing. But you got to handle this. You can't disappear." Kirk sat down, hands on his head. "How? Man, Rasheeda won't even look at me. What am I supposed to say? Sorry, I hit record and confessed to another woman by mistake." His voice broke. "She's done with me this time." Meanwhile, Rasheeda's silence had fans worried. One blogger claimed she'd checked into a hotel downtown. Another said she'd flown to Houston to stay with family. Then, out of nowhere, she posted something on Instagram. A plain black background with a single caption. "Every story has a breaking point." Millions saw it within minutes. The comments were filled with broken heart emojis, words of support, and hate for Kirk. Even celebrities started chiming in. Erica Mena commented, "You deserve peace, sis." Spice wrote, "Sometimes walking away is the only strength left." While the world rallied around Rasheeda, Kirk drove to Jasmine's apartment. Cameras followed him the whole way. Kirk drove to Jasmine's apartment. Cameras followed him the whole way. Paparazzi shouted questions as he walked up to her building. He didn't respond. When Jasmine opened the door, her face fell. "What are you doing here?" she asked quietly. "We need to talk," Kirk said. Inside, the door closed behind them, and within seconds, their voices started rising. Neighbors heard yelling, Kirk's voice carried down the hall. You think this helps you? You think this going to make people love you? Jasmine fired back. I didn't make you say those things, Kirk. You said them. She sounded hurt, but also defiant. You wanted to tell the truth, right? Well, now everybody knows it. Kirk slammed his hand against the wall. You don't know what you started. Jasmine's eyes filled with tears. You think I wanted to be the other woman again? You ruined me twice. Someone in the hallway recorded part of the argument. Within an hour, that clip was online, too. Kirk's angry voice echoed, You ruined yourself. Fans lost their minds. Headlines popped up everywhere. Kirk Frost confronts Jasmine after leaked recording. The footage looked raw, unfiltered, and real enough to destroy whatever was left of his reputation. By evening, Mona Scott had called both of them. Damage was done. By the end of the day, Rasheeda checked into a hotel downtown under a fake name. She couldn't bear the cameras outside her house, the fans trying to get her side. She turned her phone off completely. Alone in the dark, she whispered, How many times am I supposed to forgive the same man for the same sin? Her voice broke. She covered her face, sobbing quietly at the same time. Kirk sat alone in his car outside Frost Bistro, watching the empty parking lot. His mind was racing. He didn't know how to fix it. The restaurant, the family brand, their legacy, everything was falling apart in real time. He thought about calling Rasheeda, but what would he say? She'd already heard every apology he could make. Then his phone buzzed again. An unknown number. He hesitated, then answered. A deep voice on the other end said, You might want to check your email. There's a third recording. Kirk's stomach dropped. Who is this? He demanded. The line went dead. He opened his email. One unread message. Subject line, Since you like pretending. He clicked it and there it was. Another voice note file, longer than the others. As soon as he hit play, his heart stopped. It was him again. But this time, there was no mistake. Good. He looked out at the empty street, whispering to himself, Who got this? Who's doing this to me? He scrolled down the email, hoping for a clue, but it was clean. No signature, no number, no trace of a sender, just the file. He called his manager immediately. Man, we got a problem, he said, voice shaking. There's another leak. Something worse. His manager sighed. How worse? Kirk swallowed hard. It mentions Rasheeda by name. And that night there was silence on the other end. Then the manager muttered, You mean that night? Kirk closed his eyes. Yeah, that one miles away. Rasheeda was sitting by the hotel window watching cars crawl down Peachtree Street. Her phone was off, her mind looping through the same questions. Who sent that second clip? Why now? She picked up her notebook, the same one she used to jot down ideas for her boutique. But instead of business notes, she started writing feelings raw, broken sentences that spilled from her chest. You promised me peace. You gave me chaos. I'm tired of saving you from your own lies. She stopped mid-sentence when she heard a knock on the door. You from your own lies. She stopped mid-sentence when she heard a knock on the door. She froze. Kirk saw the live later that night, sitting alone in the dark. He watched it twice, maybe 3 times, and by the end, his hands were shaking. He picked up his phone to text her but stopped. What could he even say? Sorry wasn't enough anymore. As he sat there, another message came through. Same unknown number. This time, it wasn't a threat. It was a video file titled The End. Heck clicked it, and the screen lit up with security footage from his own house. Rasheeda walking out with her bags, pausing for one last look before closing the door. Whoever had been leaking everything wasn't just watching the past. They were watching him right now. He dropped the phone, heart pounding. The camera light in the corner of the room blinked red. Whoever was behind this knew every move he made, every word he spoke. The real story hadn't been about Jasmine or voice notes or scandals. It was about control. And somewhere out there, someone had been recording Kirk Frost's downfall from the start, waiting for the perfect moment to hit play. Outside, the city was quiet, the kind of late-night stillness that usually wrapped Atlantean.com. But tonight, even the silence felt like it was holding its breath. Kirk stayed frozen on the couch, staring at the tiny blinking red light on that camera on the back. His stomach turned. Production property. They'd been recording him, even off. He sat down hard, the weight of it hitting him all at once. Every leak, every voice note, every private moment. None of it had been random. They'd been setting him up for months. Across town, Jasmine was sitting in her car again, parked near the river, engine off, lights out. She was shaking as she replayed the anonymous clip. She'd been sent the one with Kirk's voice, saying she'd never know. She'd listened to it 20 times and still couldn't tell if it was edited. Part of her wanted to believe it wasn't real, that someone had cut it to destroy them both. But deep down, she knew Kirk had said things like that before. Late at night, when guilt made him reckless, she leaned back and hurt before. Late at night, when guilt made him reckless, she leaned back in her seat, whispering, "They're playing us all." Her phone buzzed again. Another text from the same number. "If you want this to stop, meet me at Frost Bistro tomorrow morning." Alone, she stared at the screen, heart pounding. Whoever it was, they were controlling everything now, and she didn't have a choice. The next morning, the air over Midtown was heavy with humidity, the kind that made everything stick and slow. Rasheeda walked into Frost Bistro early, wearing sunglasses and silence. She hadn't spoken to Kirk since the live. The restaurant was empty except for a few staff cleaning up after a night of chaos. She just wanted to sit in her office, gather what was hers, and walk out for the last time. But when she stepped inside, she froze. Kirk was already there, sitting at their usual table. He looked older overnight, eyes sunken, voice quiet. "I didn't know you'd be here," he said. "I'm just getting my stuff," she replied. Forgiveness doesn't mean I'm waiting. It means I'm free." He closed the book, set it down, and looked out the window. For the first time, he didn't feel angry or defensive, just empty in a way that felt like peace, trying to find its place. And somewhere across the city, Rasheeda smiled faintly as her phone buzzed on email notification from her publisher. Subject line number 1 on the charts. She turned the screen over, leaned back, and whispered to herself, "No more pretending." Spring came early that year, soft and strange. Atlanta was quieter, gentler, as if the noise that had once swallowed the Frost name had finally moved on to someone else's tragedy. But for Rasheeda, peace still felt new, something she had to practice like breathing. Her morning started with silence, tea, and gospel humming low through the speakers. The studio had become her world again, filled with racks of clothes, mood. The studio had become her world again, filled with racks of clothes, mood boards, and fabric swatches instead of camera crews. Every corner smelled like lavender oil and something rebuilding. She was meeting with her publisher that afternoon. Her book, The Frost Files, was now entering its 3rd print run, and they wanted her to consider a documentary adaptation. She smiled politely at the idea, but didn't commit. She'd told her story once. That was enough. Still, when she walked past a mirror, she caught herself studying her own face. Wiser, maybe a little worn. Peace had cost her youth, but she didn't mind. Across town, Kirk kept his distance. He hadn't reached out since reading her book, but every now and then, a memory would pull him back. Their first music video, their kids' birthdays, the way she used to hum before interviews. He'd tried to rebuild. 2. Opening a small studio out by Decatur, producing new artists. It wasn't fame anymore. It was work that let him hide. Then one afternoon, a package arrived at his door. No return address. Inside was a single DVD labeled Final. It wasn't flashy, just family, friends, and quiet faces who'd stood by her. Kendra was there smiling, recording small clips for social media. "Look at you," she whispered. "Peace looks expensive on you." Rasheeda laughed lightly. "Finally feels like mine." Halfway through the evening, as guests chatted and music floated through the air, the door opened. Kirk stood there wearing a plain black suit, no cameras behind him, no entourage. For a moment, nobody breathed. He didn't walk closer. He just nodded once. Rasheeda froze, unsure what to feel. Then she nodded back, small, respectful. "Final." He turned to leave, but before he did, she said quietly, "Thank you for coming." He stopped, glanced over his shoulder. "I had to see you one more time." Standing tall, his voice cracked slightly, then steadied. "You did what I couldn't." She didn't answer, and he didn't wait for one. When the door closed behind him, she exhaled long, deep, and steady. Kendra came over, eyes wide. "You okay?" Rasheeda smiled faintly. "Yeah," she said. "I think this was the ending I needed." A few days later, a fan uploaded a video online of Rasheeda's speech from that night. It wasn't scripted. It wasn't polished. She stood under soft lights, her voice quiet but firm. It wasn't polished. She stood under soft lights, her voice quiet but firm. "Sometimes peace doesn't mean everyone forgives you," she said. "Sometimes it means you forgive yourself enough to stop bleeding for people who never learned how to heal." The clip went viral again, not because it was scandalous, but because it was real. People shared it with captions, like "Healing looks like this." For the first time, her story wasn't about betrayal or leaks or love gone wrong. It was about survival. And in a quiet house outside the city, Kirk watched the clip on his phone, smiled faintly, and whispered, "She made it." He closed the screen, turned off the lights, and let the night settle. No cameras, no noise, just the sound of peace finally catching strings. He didn't promote it, didn't tag her, but the internet found it anyway. Fans flooded her comments, asking if she'd heard it. She didn't reply. She just posted a photo of the sunrise with the caption, "Healing sounds like this." They didn't see each other for nearly a year. Not on purpose, not out of avoidance. Life just moved differently now. But one afternoon, fate or something close to it crossed their paths again. Rasheeda was at a charity gala for women entrepreneurs. She was speaking on stage when she noticed a familiar figure in the back of the room. Kirk stood near the exit, dressed simply, listening quietly. When the event ended, he didn't approach. He just nodded once as she walked by, a small, respectful gesture. She stopped for a moment, then walked over. "You came," she said softly. He smiled. "Had to see you win." She nodded, eyes glistening slightly. "Thank you." There was a pause long enough to feel everything unspoken between them. "You doing better?" she asked. "Trying," he said. She smiled faintly. Finally, they parted without promises, without new beginnings. Just two people who had once built a world together, now standing in the same air, healed enough to wish each other peace. The next morning, Rasheeda woke to sunlight cutting through her curtains. She sat up, made her tea, and looked out over the city. Atlanta was alive again. Cars, laughter, life. She thought of everything that had brought her here. The chaos, the leaks, the heartbreak, and she realized none of it defined her anymore. It had only refined her. She turned on her speaker and played Kirk's instrumental album while getting ready. The final track for Rasheeda filled the room. She let it play to the end, smiling quietly to herself. Peace had finally stopped feeling temporary. By oddly, almost invisibly, the city forgot their headlines. New scandals rose, new stars fell, but every now and then, someone would bring them up, usually with a smile, saying they both came out stronger. One evening, a documentary aired about the legacy of Atlanta's music scene. Both Rasheeda and Kirk appeared separately, interviewed in different locations. Rasheeda sat in her studio, calm and radiant, saying, "Music raised us, but life taught us." Kirk, filmed in his quiet home, said, "We made mistakes, but we made history, too." Their clips played back-to-back, and for the first time, the world saw them not as scandal, but as survivors. After it aired, Rasheeda received a text from an unknown number, just one line. "Thank you for telling it right this time." She didn't need to ask who it was. She smiled, locked her phone, and went back to writing. Years later, Atlanta would still whisper their names, not with gossip, but with a kind of reverence. People would point to Rasheeda's store downtown and say, "That's the woman who turned pain into purpose." They'd talk about Kirk's studio and say, "That man used to be lost, but he found his way back." Their story had become less about heartbreak and more about what comes after the quiet dignity of survival. On a cool night near the end of that decade, Rasheeda stood on stage at an awards show, presenting a new generation of women entrepreneurs. Her voice was steady, confident. "Don't chase perfection," she told them, "chase peace." In the crowd, Kirk clapped along with everyone else, invisible to most, but they're all the same. When the ceremony ended, the city lights shimmered outside, endless and bright. Both of them stepped into the same Atlanta night, miles apart, yet somehow aligned. Their lives no longer tangled, but running parallel. Each carrying their own kind of quiet redemption. And if someone had been close enough to hear, they might have caught the same whisper from both sides of the city to different voices, saying the same thing softly into the dark about how love can break you and peace can rebuild you. And now, after everything, we finally saw them walk away, not as enemies, not as victims, but as two people who learned to let go when holding on hurt too much. If you felt this journey, if you watched it unfold, and found a little piece of your own healing inside it, make sure you drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me, did Rasheeda make the right choice, walking away? Do you think Kirk truly changed? Or do you believe some loves are meant to end so both people can finally grow? Hit that like button if you felt her strength. Subscribe if you've been riding with us through every twist and every truth. And share this video with someone who needs a reminder that peace is worth more than pretending. Because at the end of the day, the drama fades, the noise dies down, and what's left is the truth. And tonight, that truth is simple. Rasheeda didn't lose Kirk. Cheetah didn't lose Kirk. She found herself, and that family is the real story. Stay tuned, stay grounded, and as always, keep watching, keep feeling, and keep it. Keep feeling, and keep it.